Chapter 15. Tainted Memories. The further they travelled from the looming shadow of the castle, the more the world seemed to breathe again. The rigid stone walls and suffocating silence of nobility gave way to open countryside, rolling green hills stitched together by narrow dirt paths, hedgerows, and clusters of ancient trees. The air felt different here. Freer. Wilder. But freedom came with its dangers. Monica and Osmond kept to the lesser-known trails, paths worn not by trade caravans, but by farmers, hunters, and the occasional traveller who preferred not to be seen. Osmond led with quiet confidence, his eyes constantly scanning the terrain, not just for direction, but for signs of pursuit. By the time dusk began to settle, painting the sky in muted violets and fading gold, they had put considerable distance between themselves and the castle. Still, neither of them allowed themselves to relax completely. "We stop here," Osmond said at last, raising a hand. The spot he chose was deliberate, a shallow dip in the land, partially concealed by a ring of low shrubs and a fallen oak whose twisted trunk created natural cover. From a distance, it would look like nothing more than an overgrown patch of wilderness. Monica nodded, understanding immediately. No silhouettes, no smoke rises high into the sky, no careless signs of life. They worked in quiet synchrony. Osmond gathered fallen branches, carefully selecting dry wood that would burn clean with minimal smoke. Monica cleared a small patch of ground, removing leaves and debris until bare earth showed through. Together, they construct a small, controlled fire pit, surrounding it with stones to keep the flame contained. When the fire was finally lit, it was modest, low, steady, and deliberately subdued. The flames flickered just enough to provide warmth and light, but not enough to betray their position to anyone beyond the immediate area. Even the smoke, thin and faint, dispersed quickly beneath the canopy of branches above. For the first time since their escape, they allowed themselves a moment to breathe. Monica sat near the fire, her hands resting in her lap, eyes reflecting the quiet glow. Though her attire now resembled that of a common traveller, there was still something about her, something unmistakable. Her hair. Even in the dim light, its long, pinkish-red strands caught the fire's glow, shimmering faintly like embers. Beautiful, but dangerous. Osmond noticed her gaze drift downward, fingers absent-mindedly brushing through it. "You're thinking about it," he said. Monica didn't look up immediately. "It stands out too much," she admitted quietly, "even dressed like this. Anyone who's seen me before would recognize it instantly." There was a pause. "I thought about cutting it," she continued, her voice softer now, "before we left the castle." That caught Osmond's full attention. He studied her for a moment, not interrupting. "This isn't just about hiding, is it?" he asked gently. Monica finally met his eyes. "No," she said. "It isn't." Her fingers tightened slightly in her hair, as if holding on to something more than just strands of colour. "It's the last part of her," she said. "The Queen, the life I had, everything I was." The fire crackled softly between them. "If I cut it," she continued, "then there's no going back." "Not really." Osmond leaned back slightly, resting his arms on his knees. "Monica," he said, his tone calm but firm, "you've already crossed that line." She blinked, taken aback. You walked away from the castle, he went on. You chose this path. That wasn't something a queen hiding behind a title would do. He gestured vaguely towards the darkness, beyond their small circle of light. This uncertainty, this risk, that's real. And you stepped into it without hesitation. Monica looked down again, his words settling into her thoughts. You don't need to prove anything by cutting your hair, Osmond added. But if you choose to, it shouldn't be because you feel like you have to erase who you were. A quiet silence followed. Then, after a long moment, Monica exhaled slowly. Maybe you're right, she said. Maybe it shouldn't be about erasing her. Her hand loosened. But choosing who I am now? Osmond gave a small nod. That's a better reason. The tension eased slightly between them, replaced by something steadier, understanding. After a while, Monica spoke again, her voice warmer now. Osmond, I can't thank you enough for all that you've done for me. Her words carried genuine weight, softened by the flicker of firelight. With a dismissive wave of his hand, Osmond replied, Think nothing of it. You and Max are dear friends, and I'm determined to see you get the chance to rescue him. A faint smirk tugged at his lips. Besides, it gives me a certain pleasure to stick it to the nobility. Monica raised an eyebrow, a hint of curiosity breaking through her earlier introspection. Oh? Osmond's expression shifted, not bitter, but touched with something older, regret. After Griffin was defeated, he began, the ban on time travel came down hard. The Ixion... He paused briefly, as if recalling something dear. A magnificent time-travelling train was decommissioned. Monica listened closely. I had plans for it, he admitted. Someone I wanted to save. A friend who died centuries ago. The fire crackled louder in the silence that followed. Understanding settled over Monica like a quiet weight. This wasn't just about rebellion or defiance. It was grief. Osmond looked into the flames, his voice quieter now. I couldn't save them, he said. And I don't intend to watch someone else go through that same loss if I can help it. What happened to your friends? She asked quietly. Osmond drew in a slow, measured breath, as though steadying himself against something old and heavy. After the Black Atlamilia was created, it didn't stay dormant for long, he began. It found a host, and from that moment, everything changed. This wasn't like the Atlamilia we knew. It didn't simply grant power, it consumed, it twisted whoever carried it, hollowed them out, and turned them into something unrecognizable. His gaze drifted past the fire, lost somewhere deeper than the present. We regrouped Tawan, Xiao, Ruby, Ungaga, Goro, and myself, and during that time, we gained another ally, Prince Alistair Raybrandt. He glanced at Monica. Your ancestor, the bearer of the blue Atlamilia, is here. When the threat became clear, he didn't hesitate. Without him, I doubt any of us would have survived as long as we did. Monica's expression shifted slightly, the weight of that connection settling in. The Black Atlamilia couldn't just be defeated outright, Osmond continued. As long as it had a host and souls to feed on, it would keep returning. Every battle wore us down more than the last, and eventually, his voice faltered just briefly. We started losing people. The fire cracked softly. Ungaga was the first. We were overwhelmed, surrounded. He stayed behind to hold them off so the rest of us could escape. Osmond's jaw tightened faintly. He knew exactly what it meant, and he never even questioned it. A pause lingered. Goro? He was already wounded, but he refused to fall back. Stubborn as ever. A faint fleeting smile touched Osmond's lips before fading again. He stood his ground and protected us, bought us time with his life. He lowered his gaze. Neither of them hesitated, not even for a second. Monica said nothing. She didn't need to. In the end, Osmond went on, quieter now. It came down to tone. There was something almost reverent in the way he said his name. He saw what the rest of us didn't want to accept, that the only way to destroy the Black Atlamilia was to match it, his Atlamilia, against it. Osmond exhaled slowly, the memory clearly etched into him. He told us to stand back. I can still see him. Calm, certain, like he'd already made peace with it. His hand curled slightly, as though holding on to something that wasn't there. He gave everything, not just his strength, his will, his life. The light from his Atlamilia overwhelmed the black stone and tore it apart from the inside. A long silence followed, and when it was over, Osmond's voice dipped. Toan was gone. The night seemed to press in closer around them. We won, he said quietly, but it didn't feel like victory. He lifted his head again, though the weight never quite left his eyes. After that, everything unravelled. Xiao refused to leave him. She stayed by his grave, day after day, year after year. His voice softened, loyal to the very end. She defended it until the day she died. There was something bittersweet in the way he said it. Pride tangled with sorrow. Ruby chose a different path. She left for the Western lands. She believed there had to be a way to destroy the Black Atlamilia completely, so no one would ever have to face it again. Osmond's expression hardened slightly. And Prince Alistair? He took responsibility for what remained. The Black Atlamilia wasn't entirely gone. What little was left of it was sealed away, deep within a hidden cave. With the power of the Blue Atlamilia, he made sure it would stay buried. His tone grew firmer. After that, we made a pact. Everyone who knew the truth swore to silence. No records, no stories, nothing that could lead anyone back to it. We couldn't risk it falling into the wrong hands again. The fire flickered between them, casting shifting shadows across his face. For a moment, he said nothing more. But I couldn't leave it at that, he added quietly. Monica frowned slightly. Why? Osmond's expression darkened, something raw surfacing beneath the calm. Because I survived, he said. While they didn't. His hand tightened into a fist. Toan gave everything. Ungaga and Goro died fighting. Xiao spent her life alone at his grave. And Ruby. He exhaled through his nose. She carried that burden into the unknown. He shook his head faintly. I couldn't accept it. I still can't. When he looked at Monica again, there was a quiet intensity in his eyes, something resolute, almost unyielding. That's why I joined Lunar Labs. I believed if I could help create a time machine, I could go back, save them, change it. The words hung in the air. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then, more softly, almost to himself. "But time," he murmured, "doesn't bend so easily." Later that night, as the fire sank into a low, steady glow, and the last tongues of flame gave way to quiet embers, Monica drifted into silence once more. The countryside stretched out around them, vast, still, almost peaceful, but her thoughts refused to follow. "Osmond," she said softly. He turned his head, picking up on the shift in her voice straight away. "When I came back, after everything we did in the past," she began, "I thought I was going home." She let out a small breath, almost a laugh, but hollow. "But it didn't feel like home?" The words lingered between them, delicate but heavy. "At first, I thought it was just me," she went on. "Maybe I'd changed too much, that everything I'd been through had distorted how I saw things." Her gaze dropped to the embers, watching them pulse and fade. The village below the castle looked exactly the same. Every building, every path. Nothing was out of place. A pause. But it felt wrong, like I was walking through something, pretending to be my home. Osmond said nothing, letting her find her way through it. "There were places I used to sneak through at night," Monica continued, a faint softness touching her voice. "Back when I needed to get away from the castle, even if it was just for a few hours." A ghost of a smile flickered at her lips. "I used to climb down from my window, avoid the guards, just to feel like I could breathe." She glanced up briefly. "That's how I met Tren." Osmond's attention sharpened, though he remained quiet. "She wasn't nobility," Monica said. "She didn't know who I was. And with her, I didn't have to be anything. I could just be myself." Her eyes lowered again, more fragile now. "We'd meet in the quieter parts of the village. There was this tree by the river, not far from her father's tavern." Her voice softened, almost carried by the memory. "She used to bring food, insisted on sharing it, even when she barely had enough for herself." For a moment, it felt as though the memory might hold. Then it slipped. "When I came back," Monica continued, quieter now, "I asked Gaius for any information on her." Osmond didn't interrupt. "He found nothing," she said. "No records, no photograph, not even a birth certificate. Nothing at all." Her voice thinned slightly. It was like she never existed. The weight of that settled between them. Silence followed, deeper this time. "And it wasn't just her," Monica went on. "My handmaidens. They're different now. Kind, loyal, but they're strangers to me. The one who used to serve me, the one who knew me better than anyone in that place. Her voice faltered. "She's gone too." She stared down at her hands, fingers loosely intertwined. "It's like the world I came from has been replaced. It looks the same, but it isn't." Osmond leaned forward slightly, his expression thoughtful. "That's what happens when time is changed," he said quietly. "You don't just fix a single thread. You alter the entire weave." Monica gave a faint nod. I understand that, she said. I just didn't expect it to feel like this. She looked back into the fire, her reflection faint and unsteady in the dim glow. I thought saving the future meant I could go back to the life I knew. A small pause. But that life doesn't exist anymore. Her voice was calm, but the grief beneath it was unmistakable. I didn't just lose Max, she added, softer still. I lost her too. Osmond didn't rush to answer. He let the silence sit where it needed to. When he did speak, his voice was steady, grounded. You didn't lose her, he said. Monica glanced at him, uncertain. You remember her? He continued. That means she existed, that she mattered. He held her gaze. Time might have erased her from the world, but it didn't erase her from you. Something shifted in Monica's expression, small but real. She exhaled slowly, her shoulders easing just a fraction. If I ever have a daughter, she said quietly, I'm going to name her Tren. A faint, bittersweet smile touched her lips. So, she'll never be forgotten? Osmond gave a small, understanding nod. Monica turned back to the fire, watching the embers glow softly in the dark. The world she had known was gone. Changed, rewritten into something familiar but distant. But the memories remained. The stolen nights, the quiet laughter, the freedom she had found, if only for a few hours at a time. And as the fire burnt low, hidden from the world beyond their small, careful camp, Monica began to understand something she hadn't fully grasped before. She hadn't just stepped into a new future. She was carrying the ghosts of another one with her,